north from their home district in Delaware, he'd known when to dodge chatty neighbors. The storekeepers near Dover had learned it was easier to let him point to what he needed and not engage him in conversation. Ah, how he missed the simple pleasure of a chat. Now he mostly spoke to Kyle, who helped him with even the simplest interactions. "Are you okay?" he asked his nephew. The little boy, who looked like Eli's late brother, with his bright red hair and freckles, nodded. "What happened?" Kyle shrugged and held up a box of brown sugar before going to stand by where the sugar was on a shelf. It was at least 3 feet from the end cap, farther than the little boy could reach. The motions were Kyle's way of telling him that he hadn't touched the bottles. His mud-brown eyes widened, and he pointed past Eli. Expecting to see an angry store manager, Eli squared his shoulders and prepared to strain what little hearing he had left to pick up the manager's words. He turned and stared. On the other side of the broken bottles and splattered sauce stood 2 women and 2 half-filled shopping carts. An elderly Englisher woman cowered behind her cart and peered like a cartoon owl through glasses with bright green frames. The other woman stood in front of her. Eli's breath caught as he looked at the pretty Amish woman. He hadn't attended a church service in Harmony Creek Hollow yet, because he and Kyle had just moved into the new settlement earlier in the week. But he guessed she was the sister of the settlement's founder, Caleb Hartz, because beneath her heart-shaped cap, she had similar pale blonde hair and intense jade-green eyes. As well, she had her brother's impressive height. Her apron and the hem of her dark purple dress, as well as her black sneakers, had been showered with spaghetti sauce. A dab highlighted her left cheekbone. Pink was returning to her cheeks, replacing the gray of shock. Kyle grasped his hand tightly. They stood side by side when a harried Englisher, wearing a bright red bib apron, as the cashiers did, rushed to him. The man, whom Eli surmised was the store manager because he wore a white shirt and tie, pushed past the crowd of shoppers toward the elderly English woman. "Okay, boy," he asked, stopping to look at Eli. Before Eli could answer, the elderly woman waved her hands, gesturing toward him and Kyle. He struggled to follow the conversation as Kyle's grip grew more constricting. Guessing the old woman was accusing Kyle of causing the sauce bottles to fall, Eli said, "See here." The tall Amish woman, Eli thought Caleb had said his sister's name was Miriam, turned to help the older woman stand straighter. The English woman was getting more upset, and Miriam bent to speak with her. He opened his mouth, but Kyle tugged on his sleeve. When he looked at the little boy, his nephew shook his head. Did Kyle want him to say nothing? Straining his ears, he tried to hear what was going on and why Miriam Hartz was getting involved. The boy didn't do anything. Miriam saw the shock on the faces of the 3 friends she'd come with to the Salem market, but she wasn't going to watch in silence while a kinder was falsely accused. She guessed the little boy was Kyle Troyer, because she'd met the other kinder who lived along Harmony Creek. After the little boy and his uncle had arrived from Delaware, Caleb had gone to their house at the far end of the hollow. But she hadn't joined him. She'd sent a chicken and noodles casserole, as well as vegetable soup and a few jars of the grape jelly she'd brought from Lancaster County. Caleb had said Eli wasn't talkative, but seemed determined to make a home for himself and his nephew. She realized her brother had left out a few details. Details like how tall Eli was. She wasn't accustomed to looking up to meet anyone's eyes other than Caleb's, but when the newcomer's gaze caught hers, the startlingly blue eyes beneath his dark brown hair that was in need of a trim were a half-foot above hers. Next to his left eye, a small crescent scar matched another on his chin. Neither detracted from his good look.